Good morning. It's Pause with Elizabeth Elenor. And this morning I have been contemplating what you're focusing on, what I'm focusing on, what's going on in your little world at the moment. Because it's been an interesting journey for me, and I know that I'm not the only one that spends time focusing on things that don't benefit us, right? Don't um, move us into a space of living in a higher vibration, living at a higher frequency, living in peace, love, harmony, support, connection, all of those things. When we focus on what's going on in the world and let that start churning around in our brain, it gets caught up with all of the other things that from our childhood, right? Or from previous, like all the stuff that's going on in the world at the moment. Most people can start escalating into what happened 5 or 6 years ago now, right? And start going into panic mode, which we're seeing in Australia. We are seeing a lot of people buying, bulk petrol and stealing petrol and all of these things. And I remember, 6 years ago it was toilet paper. And what happens is we start focusing on surviving. And I get it, because that's what you go, Elizabeth, but that's what's happening out in the world, right? We've got to be aware of, the shortages, and we've got to be aware of what's going on overseas, and we've got to be aware of what's to come. I get that. And I also get that in any of these situations when life takes us all down a road together, and this just happens to be a global experience like it was, 6 years ago, it can, it's a global experience, but we can have these micro experiences like this in our life as well. And so it's a constant battle with the brain to move into a space where you're stepping out of that stuff. Because this is what I want to say. This is the misconception. I need to know what's going on so that I can survive it. I need to know what's happening outside in the world, because if I don't, I might miss out. I might do the wrong thing. I might not survive. Basically, I might not survive. Something horrible and terrible might happen to me, and I won't be capable of fixing it or supporting myself to live in a good way. That's all the brain. That's all the mind, sorry. The mind is telling you it has to be in control. It has to know what's going on, because it's the one that feels like is going to die if it doesn't. Can I give you a new version or a different version? It's not a new version. It's a version that's been around for thousands of years before, um, and in different variations, right? Because the mind is the one that's mainly in control, and yet when you let go, when you clean up all of the baggage that's weighing us down from so many generations before that use the mind to manipulate or to control their environment, to survive the unseen and the unknown and all of those things. When you can let go of the weight of that and clean it up, because that's what needs to be done. The weight and the it's baggage. There's so much information that is stored in our subconscious and our unconscious that we're not even aware that it's there, and it's controlling what's going on in our brain, in our mind, in our body. Because when our mind makes a decision, it creates a whole cascade of information through the body, and then we're going into the survival of fight, flight, fawn, freeze, right? We're either fighting through it, and going and stealing petrol, or we're going into discomfort. We're emotionally eating. We're arguing with our family. We're drinking. We're whatever it is that your go-to is to find some sort of relief from whatever the chatter is going on. We start people pleasing more. We do all of these things, or we freeze. We just go into total distraction and we don't do anything, right? And next thing, we're binge watching Netflix. And so all of these things are happening through the mind. When you can clean up the mind and all of the particles that are in the mind from not just this life but previous lives, from generations that have come before you, from cultures that have like each generation that's been before us, all of those things. Now you're working with a little bit more space, right? You don't have as much mind chatter. You don't have as much information to try and process. And so now you feel like your wings are light. The way I describe it is there's mud on your wings when you've got all of that, and it's cracked and it's dry and it's heavy. But when you let go of all of that stuff, when you can clean your wings, now there's just a little bit of mud from yourself, right? From your own experience, from your childhood or whatever, or from previous experiences. And now you have the ability to maneuver around it, to be aware that it's actually happening, that it's there, and to sit with it and discuss it in your brain a little bit, in your mind, right? You have these moments, and I'll give you an example. So if you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that I'm just about to be a grandmother. And when I found out, it was this cascade. I was so excited because we weren't expecting this to happen, as in, my daughter's been trying for a little while, and it's not something that she anyway, we really didn't think, both her and I had let go of that it was ever going to happen, right? So when I find out, all of the emotions come up all at the same time, right? I'm super excited. I laugh. I'm joyful. I'm having this experience, and then the tears come, right? All these emotions start cascading through my body. And then she starts explaining a few things. And as she is, my brain, my mind is going, all this stuff is going through my head about what this means to me and what this means to the family. And so, of course, all of the old information and the past. So her father and I have separated, and we separated a very long time ago. We don't talk, right? It's one of those things that it's been a long time. The kids are older. He's a different state away. All of those things. And so all of that information starts coming through my mind of what's going to happen as this baby grows, and who's going to see it first, and will I be there at the birth, and will he be, and blah 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 blah, and all this information cascades and just bombards my body at the same time, which is exactly what a lot of people go through when things like, we hear that there's a war happening and next thing there's petrol shortages or whatever it might be. All of these things cascade through the body and the body starts having some sort of reaction. And so generally it's not a good reaction, right? It's a survival reaction from a previous information that the unconscious is sharing with us to go, this is something we might not survive. And like that's basically the information that the brain is saying or the mind is saying, I might not survive this, even though it comes up with, oh my gosh, who's going to have, like what's going to happen on first birthdays and Christmases and, how are we going to be at the hospital together and blah, 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 blah. Like they're all the things, but ultimately it's the mind going, uh, you know, what's happening, like I won't survive this. Now, when you are someone that's cleaned up most of the stuff, because then, of course, another thing that came up for me was what my experience was with my mother when I was pregnant and what she was doing as a mother in, and whether she was, one of the experiences I had with my mum was that she tried to experience motherhood again through me instead of experiencing being a grandmother, right? And so all of these things flood into my system, into our bodies, that we then have the opportunity to be aware of, catch it, name it, experience it, and then work with it in a way that is going to support the evolution of the individual, right? So me, right? Or you. So for me, as I had all this information go through my brain, I was able to pick it up straight away and use the tools that I've got, that I've been using for 28 years, but especially the last 4 or 5 years, I've got some really quick and easy tools to clear this stuff out of the way, to clear any of the stuff that might be generational or past lives or contracts between people, right? And clean it all up. So now I'm able to logically step into the situation, not holding all that baggage with me, and be able to be there for my daughter who's having her own experience, right? Having her first child. And so being able to clean that up and focus on what her experience is without bringing all my vomit all over her. So now she's got to deal with somebody else's situation instead of having the freedom to feel her own anticipation and excitement and fears and doubts and worries and all of the things that she's going through, because that's what you do when you become a mother, right? All of those things she gets to experience because I didn't bring my plate and say, here's all my stuff too that you've got to process with me. I was able to process it by myself and come up with the awareness and the opportunity to share that with my daughter in the way that works for her, like this is her experience. And that's what I said to her. This is your experience as a mother and this is my experience as a grandmother, right? And being able to share that in a way that is not the generations past all sharing the experience with us and causing problems in the situation, causing a rift between us because I'm now, pulling all this information out that is not appropriate and not hers and not mine either, right? So I want to ask you, where is it that you have been vomiting your past all over somebody else or all over a situation? Here we are with going into, like, I want to bring it into the world and the global situation, because here we are in this space where, you know, we can all have this, post-traumatic stress sort of experience of here we go again and what's going to happen next and blah, 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 blah. And we can also be aware of that we are the predominant creative force in our life, and we have the ability to co-create with the universe even in the midst of chaos. In fact, if you're anything like me, it's in the chaos that I work the best. When something's happening that most people would go into absolute trauma around, I thrive, because I now know that I'm in control. I'm in the eye of the storm, and I can support myself to recognize that connection with my higher self and to listen even deeper than I do on a daily basis, but even more acutely to what I need to do next, right? What petrol station to go to, whether I'm going up to see my daughter and using petrol, whether I'm going to, what, all of the decisions, all of the daily decisions make a huge difference to the end result. And I got to tell you guys, if you're on the planet right now, you're here to anchor in this beautiful energy of higher wisdom, even while all of the chaos is happening. In fact, it's most important that when all of this chaos is happening, that you and I are anchoring in our wisdom, because our wisdom brings a new vibration to the planet, while everyone else is being conditioned and plugged in to the matrix and to the fear and to the all of the concerns. Now we have the ability to move out of that and to step into really listening to what is the most important step, decision, question, turn, all of those things, to really deeply listen. And so even today, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to come on today, because Carly's most probably going to give birth tomorrow, and I'm in this beautiful energy that is very fluid at the moment. Yesterday I got I have just had the most amazing experience of being a grandmother and being a mother. Not a grandmother yet, but being a mother. We have washed baby clothes together. We've gone to expos and bought baby clothes and all of the things that she needed. I made some soap, like laundry soap, that's got no nasties in it, no scent, smell in it. We washed them, and I folded them, and we put them under the cot, and we folded what we needed for her bag and for the baby's bag, and got all of the things. And then yesterday I went up and the day before, but yesterday I got the chance to take her and get her hair cut and her eyebrows done, and I put a face mask on her and I gave her a massage, and we cleaned the kitchen ready. We just did all the preparation together, and it's just been such a beautiful experience to be able to honor my daughter in this way. And then I was leaving and the tears came, because the next time I see her, she's going to have a baby. And I was like, your life is going to be completely different. I put this face mask on her, and I said, lay down. I said, just enjoy this, because this is most probably the last time you're going to have any time to yourself, right? And so as I left and I drove home, I allowed myself to be happy at what's to come and grieve what is um, what is not ever going to be again, right? Like, that needs to be honored as well, that my daughter will never be by herself again. She will never be just thinking of herself, even though she's got a partner. There's something different that happens when you have children, where, like, all of a sudden you're just responsible for somebody else in your life, forever, until you pass. And so it's been such a beautiful flow for me. And so I had to consider whether I even wanted to come on today, because I didn't want to perform. I wanted to be here in real time. But I knew that my real time is in this fluid energy at the moment. Sometimes, I'm just thinking of Carly, and other times I'm processing something from my own mother-daughter relationship, and then there's stuff going on from relationships in the family, and like all of these things, and I'm allowing them to come up, and I'm sitting with them and allowing them, and then doing what I need to, the way I need to work with it. So where are you dropping things and hiding them from yourself, and where are you allowing yourself to process something? Because this is how you work with the energy that's available for you. You allow it to come up. You allow the grief, you allow the anger, you allow all the stuff, and then you can work with it. And so this is what's really important for us to be doing the work, to be cleaning up the stuff that's in our vibration, within our DNA and our cells and all of those things, so that, one, we feel freedom, right? We feel more peace and relaxed and lighter, but also the people around us. And then what happens is those molecules, the plasma that is between us and the rest of the world and the universe, orchestrates itself to be in alignment with everything that you choose and that's destined for you. When you're holding on to it all, now you've got a wall between you and everything else, and there's restrictions, and now things start stuffing up, right? Arguments in families or with loved ones, memories of the past that interfere with the future, uh, you know, you take the wrong turn, or you go and there's no petrol stations that have got any fuel. You're right. Like all of these things that happen, and you think it's just the way it is. But I'm telling you, when you clean up the stuff that's in your vibration, the flow, it's like getting the rocks out of the river, right? When you get those rocks out, the water can just flow, and it speeds through. It's beautiful. It does what it's supposed to do. So, life's work. It is. And you can make it easy or you can make it hard. I prefer to make it easy. I sit with the things that I need to sit with. I process them the way I need to process them. And I do the work to raise my vibration so that everything that happens in my life isn't the way I want it, isn't always the way I want it, but it is the way that it's meant to be in the highest form, in the highest timeline. So get out there and think about all the people that you might have an issue with at the moment, and look internally to what's going on inside so that you can clean that up. Get in contact with me if you need some support with that, and I'll catch you next week. Take care.